Here's a story from the Post-Millennial. RFK Jr. tells Joe Rogan he is concerned the CIA might assassinate him. Yo, this is crazy. They say during the interview with Joe Rogan, Kennedy said his uncle, John F. Kennedy, quote, was at war with his military and intelligence apparatus after he said he wanted to take the CIA and shatter it into 1,000 pieces and also scatter it into the wind. Who he said had lied to get him to invade Cuba. Kennedy discussed his uncle's refusal to send soldiers into Vietnam at the military-industrial complex's request. He noted that JFK was killed a month after ordering all troops out of Vietnam when he determined that 75 Americans who were killed in the country were too many. Quote, he believed that the view of Americans abroad should not be, a soldier with a gun. It should be a Peace Corps volunteer building. Wells, Kennedy said. It should be USAID helping poor people, and it should be Alliance for Progress building middle class. And that's what he did. And he started the Kennedy Milk Program to give nutrition to the poor kids all over the world. As a result of that, in Africa today, there's more statues to John Kennedy, more boulevards named after more hospitals, schools, universities, avenues, and all the major cities named after him than any other president. The podcast host asked him, what do you think happens when you get in office? Like, if you're talking about your uncle who was assassinated and you believe the intelligence agencies were part of that, what happens to you? And he replies, I got to be careful. And I'm aware of that. And I'm aware of that danger. Kennedy responded, I don't live in fear of it, at all, but I'm not stupid about it, and I take precautions. Did you think at any point in your lives we would get to the point where we would be sitting on a show like this and be like, two very prominent individuals, one who's polling highly for the next presidential election, would outright say that the intelligence agencies killed a sitting president, also his uncle?
10 years ago, I would have said, this is an impossibility. And the sad reality is that right now I'm sitting here and it's almost like there's no response to it whatsoever. It's almost become an expected kind of thing where the most extreme possible thing plays out.
I knew people who were completely shocked he even entered the race for this reason. They were like, there's no way, there's too much of a target on him, which I also find to be kind of interesting. Like he says, he's interested in it. He's aware of it. He's he's not going to live in fear, but he is aware that coming out with these accusations and then seeking the presidency is maybe not in his best in his personal interest.
Yeah, it definitely puts a spotlight.
Wasn't there movement on the Warren Commission like 10 years ago too? There was like an unveiling of documents around this time 10 years ago or something.
They keep
like
doing
that?
Stuff like that.
Like every so often, remember we were talking about last time, like every time Joe Biden screws something up, you just release a couple of documents and just let stuff out. It'll be great. Also, you should worry too, because there's a lot of streets named after Martin Luther King, and a lot of people believe that the government had a hand in that as well.
Yep. A lot of people. I don't think they do it so much anymore. I'm actually not super worried about RFK Jr. getting assassinated. I mean, I think it's a possibility. I think the powers that be have it within them. It might be something like you're going for a burger and you get mugged.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. But typically, I think they go with character assassination because they want to make sure your message can't persist.
Well, it's far more effective. I mean, if you want to take someone out nowadays, you take them out by just erasing the person they are, just creating an entire villain around them. And they're more effective at that. I mean, you don't want to have a martyr.
Yeah. I mean, remember that the mainstream media will not acknowledge that he is a serious contender for the Democratic nomination. They refer to him consistently as a fringe candidate, and then they immediately bring up his theoretical stance as an anti-vaxxer, right? Like, they use that to tear him down as much as possible. In doing so, they don't realize that he has broad appeal. They will not acknowledge that he actually has an interesting shot. He plays an interesting role in politics right now because I think they are afraid of him. The best thing for America's left to do right now is try to get him to stop talking as fast as possible. You know what's
super interesting about the vaccine thing is they don't realize how many people in their own party are actually on board with his message.
Well, his polling is... I think he's rivaling. Is he beating? I think he's beating Joe Biden in favorability.
That is.
I think the things that he's saying are lighting up regular people who don't like Joe Biden, don't like what the Democratic Party's become, and they don't like Donald Trump.
Yep.
I think there are a lot of people who voted for Trump. Voted for Biden against Trump. I think,
that was why I really believe no one voted for Biden. Yeah. They voted against Trump.
Exactly. And now that RFK comes along, they're like, don't know, don't care. He's a Kennedy. Sure, fine, whatever.
YouGov says that RFK has higher favorability than any other presidential candidate running in 2024. 49%.
It is true that there is almost no appeal for Joe Biden because like we cover pop culture, and I've seen several celebrities who are just like James Van Der Beek was like, we have to at least have the discussion that other candidates are a possibility. Arnie, the governor, recently was saying that he wishes he could run, given that he's not a naturalized American, he wasn't born in America, because he says that there's nobody right now that can unite everyone, which is tacitly admitting that they're not uniting anyone right now. And these are mainstream celebrities who would normally fall in line for leftist or Democrat policies.
I don't think uniting everyone's a realistic goal, right? You're asking everyone to compromise.
I mean, this guy became the governor as a Republican in California, so anything's possible.
That used to be a thing, though. I mean, there used to be a Democrat. There used to be a Republican stronghold, especially in Orange County, right? Like, that was a different time. We are so used to seeing America through a modern lens that we forget. I mean, we're in West Virginia. West Virginia used to vote consistently Democratic. The parties shift the same way that the parties shift in ideology and they have drifted to the left. The voters shift too to stick with their core beliefs.
Yeah, I believe at this point that kind of unity is just impossible. And I don't think anyone deep down believes it.
What if we get this magical unicorn scenario? RFK runs in the primary. Biden wins. RFK says, I'm not leaving. Trump wins. And then Trump says, RFK Jr., run with me. Let's unite what we're working on together for the American people. What happens if it comes Trump, RFK Jr., single ticket?
A Trump Kennedy ticket?
That is a power play.
Wild. I mean, I've seen a lot of speculation that RFK Jr. will run as a third party, which will basically have a Ross Perot effect and hemorrhage voters away from Joe Biden. I mean, RFK is a real problem for the Democrats, and he just has to be not enough of a threat to the Republicans to hemorrhage moderate voters who lean in both directions.
Yeah, if he runs as an independent, he's definitely going to cause a major impact for the Democratic Party. Yeah. He's going to unintentionally or intentionally sabotage them completely.
Yeah. I think presidential debates are somewhat useless, right? Like, we do get some fun sound bites when Donald Trump's on the stage, but they don't really tell us anything. But I would love to see Kennedy debate Trump or Biden or literally anyone, because I think he is sort of this breath of fresh air. I think there are, not enough people who are in his position because the Democratic Party has drifted so far to the left. They only field extremist candidates. Yeah,
and he's one of those people who will say whatever he truly believes, which is very dangerous for them. I mean, they really do need, like you said, people to fall in line. He's not that. He's a kind of, the Tulsi Gabbard. Remember what happened with her? Like, the second you start speaking your mind, you're a threat to them. Even if you're in their party.
I had a story where I was like, after the debates, and I was talking about during the primaries, during the election, and I was like talking to a friend of mine who just really, really hates Donald Trump. And I was like, oh yeah, I really like the stuff that Tulsi Gabbard was saying. Is like, Donald Trump is an existential threat to America. I'm like, that has nothing to do with what the hell we're talking about right now, because they'd already cast her off as somebody who is a fringe candidate with these crazy beliefs, and he just kind of lumps all those people in together, whether Democrat, Republican, if they don't fall in line for what at that time would have been, your standard Democrat policies, which have gone even further left since then. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about how there's new normals created all the time, and so you look every 2 to 3 years. Now, it used to be the concept of like a new normal would probably take decades for them to happen. And now you look on key issues that people used to vote on, they're just becoming more extreme about those issues to the point where we're so polarized that there's no form of rationale anymore in it. Where, like, if I would have told you, 5-10 years ago, we're going to put biological males in prison with women who have a history of sexually assaulting women, you would say the entire country would be out protesting on the street.
I got to ask, do you face any kind of backlash career-wise for bringing these subjects up?
Absolutely.
I mean, what's that been like?
Some of them I don't even know if I should talk about from a legal perspective. I will say this. We used to have a lot of celebrities who supported our brand, especially after this last Erased ad that we did, the one with the transgender athlete beating the woman. We got a lot of complaints from people saying you're a transphobic company, you're spreading hate speech. Do the celebrities who wear your watches know that you believe these things? And then all of a sudden I started getting some emails from people that represent these celebrities.
Wow.
Threatening.
Do you answer back, I'm a pro-woman company? Like, I think women are great and they should compete in sports?
Like to the people who send the emails, I actually invite them on our company podcast to talk to us, and they never accept. They just tell me to go kill myself.
Wow.
To the legal aspect of things, I do my best to avoid a lawsuit because, like, the womanhood bracelet that we were selling, we're going to donate a percentage of that to charities that support the things that we believe in. It becomes very hard if I'm having to fight legal battles. And that's kind of how they win. They try and destroy you in that way. So I'm just sticking to my guns. I play nice where I have to play nice. And when I believe that it's time to fight back, I do. But I want to fight back with a cultural change. And I do that through these videos because I'll be honest with you, during this last video we put out, I got a lot of people who even have trans kids saying the current message for the LGBTQ community is hurting my child. People are starting to hate my child because it's becoming too extreme.
Yeah. Well, we had a friend of the show, Daniel Turner, on the other day talking about, he's a gay married man. And he was saying the activists are making it hard and embarrassing for him. He was saying that his husband said, it used to be 10 years ago, you just mind your own business and people would leave you alone. But now what's going on, they're actually embarrassed to mention that they're gay married. Mm-hmm. That's what the activists have made. They've pushed it to the extreme.
It's like a weird shift where all they were fighting for originally was the right to live their lives the way they wanted. And now the movement's become so extreme that it's forcing everyone else to kind of celebrate and be involved and accept everything to the point where it's damaging them and it's damaging the way they wanted to live their lives. And I don't know how many of them are aware of just how much damage it's caused, because I used to be, in full transparency, a person who would go walk for the Pride Parade. I just believed in the notion of anyone who wants to be married should be able to be married. And over the years, because of how extreme it's gone, I'm like, I won't support a group that is twerking in front of kids in, thongs. It just started to gross me out. I'm like, this is not appropriate. And then I'm called transphobic or homophobic for that.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.